Hello, everyone. Welcome to Thursday Qobuz Live. Today we have got our friends from Naim Audio in the house. We've got Robert Bruce, the trainer, or as I call him for since I've known him, Robert the Bruce, and we also have Stuart Brown, the one of the main guys from Naim. He's not only in product development, but he's also in marketing. A really interesting guy. Before we bring those guys on, we'll talk a little bit about Qobuz and let you know what we are. We're a streaming service, and we're at $15 a month, and we stream over 60 million tracks, and that's up from like 40 million only about a year and a half ago. So we're really catching up with everyone. So now we've got around 60 million tracks. We're up to 24 192 high resolution that's streamed in FLAC, so you really don't need any special gear or anything to run this with. I've been actually running my high res this week through one of the big name servers, and I have just been having a total blast with this thing. It sounds fantastic, and the GUI is it's really well thought out, but it's a really neat little unit. We also have a family plan that runs about $25 per month. It'll handle up to 6 people. So if you've got people in your family that are now listening to one of the lesser services and you happen to be on Qobuz, turn them on to it. Turn them on to Qobuz. It's once you get about 6 people on there, it's only about $4 per month, and to be able to stream high resolution audio for $4 a month is just crazy. I don't know if you guys feel the same way as I do, but every time I open up Qobuz these days, I can't believe the amount of high quality audio that's on the system. So we hope you join us. One of the things that we really have just kind of started talking about recently, although it's a really cool thing with Qobuz, is our Sublime membership that does run you $25 per month. Or I'm sorry, $250 per year, which is about $20 per month. This is about $5 cheaper than we were when we came to the United States. Of course, now we're $15. But this is an incredible deal if you happen to be the kind of person that wants to own music. And really, for me, there's a couple of reasons to own your music these days. One of them is artist support. Artists get paid, or labels get paid basically the same way they do when you have a CD or an album, same kind of percentages and whatnot. So the artists do a lot better. So if you're either into just owning your own music, or you want to support your favorite artist the very best way, Sublime is a fantastic way to do it. One of the reasons is because while most other places that you can get high res are charging hugely premium prices for high res, which is understandable. The files are just more expensive. We also have a streaming service, and we don't just have to make all of our money on high res, so we usually have really good prices. This is just an example of a Supertramp that Neitha and I were talking about last night. And if you're just a regular member of Qobuz, you can buy this album in high res for $21. So it's still a really good deal. But if you're a Sublime member, you can buy the same album for $10.49 in 24 192, which is ridiculous. What that really means is if you are a downloader and you're buying just maybe a couple of albums a month, you're paying for your subscription just as it is. Another really cool feature that we've got on Qobuz is we feature manufacturers and we call them society members. They're retailers that you'll find around the United States, and they've got a place on Qobuz. It's under playlists, and when you go there, it's under playlists. So you'll just kind of scroll down one layer, you'll see playlist, and then you'll see a section that's called Hi-Fi Partners. They are some of the most interesting playlists that I have ever heard in my life. We have got some crazy, creative partners that just listen to the most diverse music that I've ever heard. This one is no exception. Robert sent me a playlist yesterday that was, I think, collaborated between he and Stuart, and it is fantastic. A whole bunch of the stuff I've never even heard of. So go to Qobuz and go under the playlist, Hi-Fi Partners, and click the name playlist. It's the one that's got the logo and the picture beside it, and it is just fantastic. I think you'll really enjoy it. So right now, I would like to introduce my two guests. The first is an American like me, uncultured as any one of us would be. Robert, how many languages do you speak?
Just the most important one.
Okay.
English. No. What do you call I know a little Spanish, and I can understand Scottish. I have a little Scottish heritage, but really just English.
That's great. Yeah, I'm a soul English, and I barely have that one down. So I'm just happy to be able to communicate. Then we want to add our cultured guest in, straight from the UK. We've got Stuart Brown. Hey, Stuart, how are you, man?
Good, thank you.
Good to see you.
And you.
And so let's see, what time is it over there for you tonight, Stuart?
It is 9:10, and luckily the fireworks have just stopped.
So the fireworks,
the loud noises, I promise, won't be me.
What was going on with fireworks? Were they celebrating the U.S. election or what?
Well, that hasn't finished yet, has it?
Not just
you never know.
No, we have Guy Fawkes night, so it's any excuse to light up the sky. But it's early November, happened last night, and some more went off this evening, and there was some quite loud bangs outside the house, but luckily they've all subsided. So,
well, it's good to have both of you on the show with us. Well, I've been excited to have Naim for really quite some time. Huge fan of the product in general. In fact, last year at the Bristol show, I had the best time. Robert, what's the big name stack called?
Well, the reference or
the
statement,
reference.
but the streamer is the reference, and that's the ND555.
No. I'm talking about the big stack with the amplifiers. That's the big statement series, right?
NAC S1 preamp and NAP S1 power amps. Yes.
So this is totally state-of-the-art gear that just sounds like heaven. And Naim and Focal had one of the biggest rooms at the Bristol show, and I got to come in and do a flash DJ session on the system. I had never driven. I've heard it. I've been in the passenger seat, but I had never actually driven the system myself, and they gave me full control over it. Believe it or not, we hooked up an iPad to it with I can't even remember, maybe a little interface, I think a USB interface to go into your system. But we started playing this thing, and I'm going, okay, this sounds so smooth and so clean. I'm going to have to crank it up just a little more. And I crank it up just a little more. And then I crank it up just a little more. And then I crank it up just a little more. And it was sounding fantastic. And one of the guys, I can't remember who it was right next to me that worked for Naim. And he's going, "How are you liking it, mate?" And I'm going, I had no idea it was that loud, right? It didn't sound that loud until he started trying to yell over the system. And I'm going, oh my gosh. So I had to crank the system down a good bit. And then, we started getting back into reality. But I am totally amazed with your product. And it doesn't take the statement to make that. You do it really quite well with most all of your product.
Whenever we're at shows, we're quite open about anybody being able to play whatever they like, because for us, it's about people enjoying music, and that comes in all shapes and sizes and different tastes. So it's not about we've got to prescribe to you what you want to listen to. Actually, with Naim, you can listen to anything, and you'll get that exactly. The urge just to keep turning it up and touch that volume control on the top of the statement and just keep going. And you can 15 minutes can turn into an hour, can turn into 2 hours quite easily, because you're just carried away with how engaging it is, and that's what it's all about, delivering that engagement.
Yeah, you're totally reading off my song sheet. It's in fact, if you have ever followed any of my posts, my thought is that you can't, if you're listening to music and you've got this like unlimited amount of music, if you can go to bed before 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you're just simply doing it wrong. Or maybe I'm doing it wrong. I just did tend to go down rabbit hole after rabbit hole. And I got to tell you, Stuart, I'm a little upset with you about this playlist because as I always do, I try to at least sample the playlists before the show just to kind of get a taste of the personality of the people that are putting the thing together. And you and Robert put this list together that totally blows me away, starting from the very first artist who I didn't even know. So it's like, great, now I get to go down the name rabbit hole. And it appears to be quite deep. This is it. The artist was Fable.
Yeah, so Fable, with that single was released last month, and that's massive for us. It's you're right. It's an incredible record, and she's amazing, and that's huge record for us. It's so good, and all that stuff on that list, all those tracks are Name records.
That Fable's not a Name artist.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we were going to talk about that in just a little while. Robert, tell us a little bit about the label itself. I mean, because honestly, that's the first way I was introduced to Name years ago.
Well, the label was started in 1993, and the idea was to have recordings and know how the recording was made, what the artist was trying to do, what was in the master tape, and that gave the design engineers the ability to design equipment to get you closer to what was being expressed in the recording. So Name didn't start the record label as a way to make a bunch of money, but really to allow excellent artists to express themselves without the pressures of a big commercial label, and to have the ability to know what was contained in the recording, to know as the systems were being developed, to get closer and closer to reveal everything that's in the recording.
Yeah, the Name label, I like I said, I was more familiar with the Name label before. I mean, way back when very, very few people carried the Name line in the United States, because I mean, this is a hard British line. It doesn't get more UK than this, right?
Right. But exposure in the rest of the world is definitely gaining. And the great thing is the focus from Name has not changed. So even though in 1973 they started with one amplifier, today the same approach to design of everything is the same way. So it's really unique that it's not now owned by some offshore company or, trading on the brand. It's really Name, design, engineer, built, and that's getting to be, unfortunately, far too unique.
It's certainly an occurrence that's been happening more lately. But I got to tell you, though, these days the guys have done a really good job getting the brand known in the United States, because these days if you know high-end audio these days, Name. It's not a mystery anymore. But it was such a great and a unique way to get introduced to a company, because when we would pick up Name albums and put them on, we would go, God, these things sound so fantastic. Stuart, how long have you been with Name now?
Just over a year.
That's it?
Yeah, just over a year. But
wow.
My background's in hi-fi retail. When I started, that was my first job, straight out of school. So I was kind of in your realm, and I was in custom install, and we were putting systems into people's houses that were horrendously expensive and also horrendous to use. And that was a real eye opener as to how something should be able to deliver something so incredible, this amazing experience, but when you can't actually use the thing, it just is a total blocker from being able to get that experience out of it. So that's when I really got interest. I started to go down the route being product manager, to actually, great performance shouldn't be at the cost of actually being able to use the thing. And those two things have got to be considered at every point. Otherwise, nobody interacts with the product. And that's why Naim's so exciting, because we've got beautiful design. Everything about the product is considered: what it sounds like, what it looks like, how you interact with it. And that's quite a unique thing, that all of those things stand for something, and there's no corners cut in any of those items. Nothing's cost engineered at the detriment of other things. It's all about musical performance, a beautiful piece of art that makes a wonderful musical performance. And like Robert said, that's gone back since 1973. We still can service those amplifiers that were made back then. Everything is built to last and built to deliver that performance over a long lifetime. And that's why people get involved in the Naim. They join the Naim club, because they know that they can go on that journey. They can unlock even better experiences as they go on. And we've got guys with complete Olive systems that are 20 years old, and classic systems, and they're just going through the journey. And every single piece of Naim you attach, there's more magic that comes out of your system, and that's always been true since day one. And even this thing behind me here, the Muso QB, that's an incredible box that looks beautiful. And my wife absolutely loves using it. The kids love using it. It's just a phenomenal product.
Now we're going to get into the Muso, but not right now, because that's a whole nother ball of wax that you guys have dove into and done just a remarkable job. But yeah, we'll talk about that in just a little bit. While we could do a whole show just on the Muso. We had a really nice discussion on it yesterday, but it really takes after the time and effort you guys have spent on the actual product. We were talking about it yesterday. It's like everything, when you touch a Naim system, just the user experience is incredible. For the way the switches switch and the knobs turn and the resistance that's felt, and you could just tell it's a great piece of gear before you ever even hear it. It's a whole lot like closing the door of a Mercedes, right, as opposed to a Toyota. Yeah, you really may have not driven it yet, but you can just already feel that it's a superior piece of gear. And before we get into any of that, I'd really like to talk about you guys a little bit, because you're such a support mechanism for Naim collectively where you are. So Robert and I'm trying to remember when exactly we met, Robert. It was how long ago?
A long time ago.
Yeah, I knew. And what were you doing back then? Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you actually made it to Naim.
Well, I started at a high-end specialty retail store, and in about 1986.
Where was it? What was it?
In Dallas.
What was it called?
Audio Concepts. Dallas
Audio Concepts, yeah.
Still there, and still a Naim dealer.
Yeah.
So that was where I sold my first Nate, and where I bought my first Naim gear, and that was a 62 140, a preamp and amp, and then added a snaps, and then added a high cap power supply to that.
Wow, you had some nice stuff back then.
yeah, it was really good, really fun. And again, the cool thing is that sounded awesome, but it is, as far as I know, the person I sold it to is still operating today. So it is, that's the kind of serviceability, upgradability, reliability, is that was, 1986, 7, 8, 9 time period. So we're talking, 30 years. And,
yeah.
And my bet is that it's still in service out there working today. And that's really pretty unique. But that was my entry into high performance audio. And I've stayed in it really my whole life, my whole adult life. and have always kept up with Naim. And then I just started this year with Naim in the US. So I'm responsible for North America for training and a product specialist. And so I do a lot of things like dealers have questions about what's the right configuration of a system they're talking to a customer about. And Naim uses some unique cables and interfaces. And there's often questions about how to hook things up. And I help with that, with detailing configuration and proper cables and even placement of gear for best results.
That's great. Stuart, I got to tell you, I'm astonished that you've only been with Naim for a year. After we had about, I don't know, 45-minute conversation yesterday. Maybe it was an hour.
It was 2 hours.
God, was it that long?
Yes, it was.
2 hours. It didn't seem like that, did it?
No, it didn't.
After speaking with you for 2 hours yesterday, Jesus, 2 hours. After speaking with you for 2 hours yesterday, I am totally astonished that you've been with. I can't believe we didn't bring this up because we were getting so deep into what you do and just about Naim in general. I'm thinking, well, okay, he might not have founded it, but he's probably his son. And so to find out that you've been working with Naim for only a year, I am duly impressed. You know a lot about this, and you've got a very unique job. We were talking about this yesterday. Explain to everyone, Stuart, what you do for Naim.
So my role is product development manager, and I basically take all the products, all the concepts, everything we're looking at doing in the future, and distilling those and working out what's feasible, what's viable, what we should do, what we shouldn't do, and progressing those into things that may see the light of day, or ultimately they may not. Nothing leaves our factory unless it makes that musical connection with people. So it's all about working out if there's technologies we should be exploring or product concepts we should be exploring, and defining whether those things have got a life or not, and then working out eventually if those things come to market. And everything in between that and the kit you see on the shelves today is my realm of product management. So cables and interconnects and all this sort of stuff, it all falls into that. Even writing manuals and user guides and considering all those things that customer boxes and packaging and everything a customer is going to interact with, or a purchaser will interact with in the journey of the product. That's all my remit. So
that is a huge job. I mean, especially for as much as you guys have got going on. Stuart and I yesterday were having the conversation around should a company be engineering driven or marketing driven, and we both have got the same philosophy. Honestly, I think that any company should be market driven, only because what we tend to do, because I've done something similar to what you're doing now. What we tend to do is look at the market and their needs. We try to solve problems that are already there, that have presented themselves, as opposed to maybe sometimes being so creative that you're solving problems that don't really exist.
Absolutely. And that's we're part of the group, Fervent Audio Group with Focal, and it's about, we're in a position to deliver those solutions, whether that's pro audio or headphones, speakers, the whole, everything is considered. Even what you get inside a Muso in terms of acoustics has had influence from the Focal side. So it's about being able to having that whole view and being able to then work out actually what are customers wanting to use, or what are people who love music want to get out of this system, and how they're going to interact with it. And then that defines what you can create. And ultimately for us, we're able to design the product, make the product. Everything that goes into a Naim box is completely self-contained within our ecosystem. We design everything. We think independently about exactly how we lay out boards and components, and everything is engineered to give that best musical performance, as we've done for almost 50 years. But we can deliver that through our retailers. We've just done a great promotion with the Unity products and speakers. I've actually got Cantor 2s with a Nova downstairs, and I can't tell you how awesome that sounds. I mean, awesome. I sit down at lunchtime. The great thing about working from home is I can go downstairs and have my lunch, turn that system on and listen to it. And that can easily take a bit longer than you initially anticipate it to. But you're just blown away by how good it is. And that means I spend quite a lot of time listening, which is no bad thing. And we do in the factory. We listen to a lot, and we listen to the market, and that's what informs how we develop product.
Fascinating. That's really cool. Guys, actually, I really wanted to ask you before I bring up this question, which is a fantastic question. Give me a little more detail on your background. You started in hi-fi, you said, in a hi-fi shop like Robert and I did.
Yeah, so I worked for 7/8 Sound and Vision, which is a large independent chain in the UK, and I joined there when I was 19. We didn't actually sell Naim, but I got into listening. I would go into the demo room and just plug stuff in and listen to it, and slowly work my way through the best kit that we had to offer in the shop. And eventually I ended up with a Cyrus system in my home, in my bedroom, in my parents' house, that I would go out to the pub and come back to and listen to at loud volumes and get told off for. And then that progressed. So I had Arcam AV processors, and I had ridiculously large systems for someone in their early 20s, and progressed through a variety of roles. So I worked for a small manufacturer in custom install, which was really eye-opening about that you appreciate the position. The early days of custom install were kind of Wild West, really, in terms of what the product offering was for the installer. And that was really interesting to see how barriers to using things are. You need to unlock those so that people can actually have the experience, because if there are any barriers in front of it, the thing never gets turned on. So from there I went to Cambridge Audio, and I've worked at Samsung as well. So I've seen how the big boys do it, the corporates work, and I've seen how the little guys do it, and everything in between. So
I'm guessing working with the big boys probably didn't hurt. It probably taught you a lot.
It does. I mean, obviously Samsung purchased Harman Luxury, so there's a lot of information, and you can see the whole industry from that point of view, and how they develop products really down to a price. And what actually gets left out is any form of sound quality. Ultimately, is the thing that gets left out, because if you've got to make a box for $200 and it's got to have a certain amount of plastic in it, the rest of it is the stuff that starts to fall away. And it's really eye-opening. So it's amazing for me to be able to come to Naim in Salisbury, and I relocated my family, and we've got a different lifestyle here, but to work for a company where the design, the performance, and all those that is the paramount importance, rather than actually it's just about cost and making profit. It's actually about delivering that emotional connection for your product to people that love music.
Yeah, and we're going to show a little bit of the product in just a second, but before we do, and I think probably you and Robert can sort of split this up. What's the single most? This comes from John Knight. John, thanks for the question. What's the single most important innovation in audio that you guys have felt was the most important since Naim's founding? I'm not quite sure if you're talking about audio in general or Naim's innovations, but why don't you maybe take both, guys?
I mean, I probably can comment on an innovation in audio since Naim's founding, because I'm probably not old enough to do so. But certainly for me in my lifetime, the thing that has unlocked the experience for me is the transition from physical media to streaming. Because I'm of that, I've got a big CD collection that I stopped collecting in sort of the early noughties as life kind of got in the way and the physical media started to die off. So streaming services have just opened that gateway to quick access to music like never before. I mean, okay, it might have made it a bit impersonal, but you can get quality now and access that's just so instantaneous. I mean, even in our products, we've embedded features so that you can instantly play things just from the touch of a button on the front panel, which was unheard of 20 years ago. You would have to find something. I don't really like that CD. I'll find something else. Now you can go on a journey that's, okay, it might be your own journey, or it might be one that's kind of prescribed by the streaming service. But that's an amazing way to find new music. And for me, I rarely listen to the radio anymore. My car's got Spotify built in, and I just let it play its thing, and I hear something and go, wow, that's incredible. I'd love to listen to it at home, favorite it, come home and listen to it on something proper. And that's open my eyes to what's available in terms of content. And also, I can play stuff for the kids that I don't want to buy, because who wants to collect like all the Disney soundtracks? That easy access. My wife can go and play whatever she likes, and the kids can listen to whatever they like, and it's all there instantaneously. And all my CDs are in the garage, but I have ripped them all onto hard drive storage. So they're all memories of my youth are all still there and easy to access.
Yeah, and to me, by far, that's been the biggest innovation just in the last several years, just access to music, and now access to high resolution music. It really started, when as soon as 320 was available, I started getting interested in it. It started sounding pretty good to me at 320. And some of the audiophiles go, oh, 320's rubbish. Sorry, I'm doing that sort of because there's some English people around. I'm not making fun. But, it's not as good. 320 sucked. 320 doesn't suck. 320 is a lot better than the FM that we used to have, right?
It's suitable for background. But I'll take that audiophile approach a little bit, and having 3,000 records and a good turntable, my background was high fidelity was physical media. Now, the great thing to me is that we finally got streaming where the resolution is awesome, where a few years ago, that wasn't the case. And so I would much rather have played a record on my system than I would listen to streaming. Now that we have high res, that is a game changer. I still do listen to records, but it is so easy, just like Stuart mentioned, the functionality. You just touch a button on the app and bam, you're playing anything you can think of. You hear something, remind you of something else. It's not digging around trying to find it. Boom, you touch a button and there you go. I will go back though and say one of the most important things relative to Naim's history was their emphasis on power supply and its incorporation in the audio circuit, and what a difference it makes. And today, still a leading aspect of the design of all the Naim gear is the power supply, which is still linear, still a toroid transformer and substantial power supply regulation versus a little cheap switch mode. One of the things that contributes to the Naim sound is the adherence to the design. And yes, it's gotten much better over evolution, but that's still kind of the heart of the Naim sound. And that was an emphasis from the very first Naim piece I ever looked inside the box and went, what is that giant donut thing in there? And that was the toroid transformer. And
I wish I would have thought to bring up I wish I would have thought to bring up the ad that, in fact, I put this on Streaming Music Matters just a few weeks ago, way before we even knew we were going to be doing this. But I had put up one of my old favorite hi-fi ads, which was the guy standing, next to the wall. It's a black and white advertisement with the Naim gear, halfway through the floor, and the guy's going, pardon me, I didn't catch your name. I'm sure he's saying in English accent, but it was hilarious. I mean, in Naim came up with that. I really loved the, they didn't take themselves so seriously that they couldn't have fun. And so there was a lot of Naim ads back then. I wish those would come back. I put this ad up, and you would not believe how many people commented on it. And we're going, oh, I love that ad. And then they would put up another Naim ad. So if you go on Streaming Music Matters now, you'll have to scroll down a bit, but you'll see that whole Naim post, and it went really nuts.
Yeah, the advertising was amazing. I mean, that's just one of a number of iconic adverts that were produced, and
I wish we would have shown. I wish we would have shown
on the walls everywhere because they're amazing. Yeah, brilliant pieces of marketing.
Yeah. Hey, listen, guys. We're kind of getting late. It's already like 4:36. We could go on a lot longer, and will if we don't really kind of get into the meat of what we're here for. Neetha, why don't we go ahead and you were just talking about streaming, so we'll kind of keep it there for a second. And by the way, I don't know if you guys know, but I'm still a huge vinyl fan. And in my one room that I've got a great vinyl rig, I'll listen to vinyl from time to time. But really, it's like digital has just gotten so much better over the last 5 years. I mean, just eons better than it ever was. And so I do find myself listening to streaming a good bit more because I'm like in my office, and I just put a Roon set up over on my drum kit. I'd been doing Bluetooth, and I'm going, hold on, I've got a Roon endpoint. So now I'm, doing Roon through there. And I just did Roon through the Naim downstairs. I just got the ND5 XS2. And man, that thing sounds fantastic. I'm not even using it with an external DAC. The DAC you guys have got in that thing is so musical. And I've just been having a fantastic time with it. Well, I was talking to Robert a couple of days ago, and I'm going, well, I really don't like the Chromecast, so I did it through Roon. And he's going, oh, no, use the app. So I got it all set up with the app. Now Naim Gear comes with, you can just click on Qobuz. You can click on Qobuz and actually go straight into it. And I found it actually sounds a good bit better like that as well.
Oh, it will do. We're using the sort of unknown secret of the main platform. It's got a huge buffer, and that is so advantageous when you can do everything natively because you can load those. But you're essentially loading the track into the buffer. We often do it at shows. Actually, start a track playing, and by about 15 seconds, you can probably unplug the Ethernet cable, and it will just play the rest of the track. So you're playing it all from RAM. There's no latency issues, none of that stuff. So you need to have a really up-to-date streaming module, and of course that's all our own work. But that means that those native implementations will definitely give you the best quality. If you're going through Chromecast, then you've got to run through the Chromecast stack. That's quite a wieldy beast on its own, and it has its own heads, and the buffer's tiny. So you can run into dropout issues, and those are the sort of unseen things that you don't get through. For a native implementation. So doing it directly in the app is a no-brainer for us because we've got a really capable DAC in all of our products. ND5 XS2 especially is a fantastic product. You've got all our DSP work, all our filters, all that stuff is completely Naim designed. So we have that all embedded. So why not use it to its best?
And the DAC you're using in this, tell me just a little bit about that. I'm kind of a DAC nut, and I was pretty surprised. Robert, what do you think? I was gonna plug it into my DAC. I've got a really nice DAC, and I thought, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna plug it up. And we talked, I think, the next day, and I'm going, oh my God, I can't believe it. But I didn't ask you really anything about it. So guys, tell me a little bit about the DAC and the implementation that you're using in there, because it really is quite special. And if you know anything about DACs, a good DAC is going to run you a good $1,000, $2,000 just by itself. So what do you guys have implemented in there?
I can give you the inside track on this because I just got it myself. So I was asked a few questions. So the DAC implementation that we use essentially in all of our products is evolved from the Naim DAC. We did a standalone DAC a few years ago, which was where we developed all our own DAC tech. So we oversample everything in DSP. So we up the clock rate to 706.4 or 768, depending on what the incoming stream is, because we just find that the DAC chips sound best at those frequencies. And by using our own DAC and our own filter, our own DSP and filter, we're able to really split everything up. So if you take a ND555, for instance, all the noisier parts of that product, i.e. the streaming module, that does all the interface, the UI, the bit that talks to your phone and everything like that is all in a separate part of that product. And in fact, it's actually completely encased, so it's sealed off essentially from the much more sensitive circuitry inside the product. And then we use LVDS to go across to the DSP. And in a 555, you get a suspended brass plate. So we're controlling the resonant frequencies of that circuit board by using the brass plate with the suspensions. You know what the resonant frequencies of the springs are, and then you can work out how to deal with just one resonant frequency and not loads of them. And then we're always about separating. So even if it comes down to external power supplies or preamps, we're always about separating out to minimize interactions between signals at high level and low level, and that applies across all the DACs. So even an ND5 XS2, that's designed specifically to keep low noise stuff away from high noise items, and the streaming card is the same as you get. So all our products use the same streaming interface. So it's the same app, all the new platform products use the same app. So it's a Muso. On a Muso 2, the control system is exactly the same as you would have with an ND 555. It's no different. So the user experience is shared across everything.
Yeah, in fact, you had actually sent us a few screenshots of the interface. That's one of the things I don't really much care for most interfaces. I've got a ton of streamers around here, but I really don't see that many that have got a very interesting or a really, really well laid out and usable interface, which is really why I like to use Rune, because it does. Yours is quite different. Neetha, can you bring up the screenshots that Stuart sent over of the GUI of the graphic user interface? Neetha will bring those up in just a second. But yeah, the first thing I noticed was it was super easy.
Yeah, so we use the app as the touch point for everything that we do. So we've embedded a really nice favorite system. So you've got all the presets from the product on there, and albums and tracks. I think if you click through them, you'll start to see them all. We've got native search that searches across variety of connected devices, whether that's streaming services or internet radio or your local servers or connected USB devices. So we're aggregating all that content, and then you can pick which version you want to play. And we obviously got the ability to choose different inputs, and you can show and hide what you do and don't want to interact with. But we're all about refining that as much as possible. So it's simply just, I want a piece of content, I want that track that reminds me of my youth, and you can go and search for that and play it back from anywhere in the system. It doesn't really matter where it's hosted from. But like you say, if you want to go for a really pure experience, if you're a Spotify user or an AirPlay user, Apple Music, we offer exactly the same, a super pure interface there, where you still get the brilliant name quality, but without needing to go through the app if you don't want to. So we're offering you the best of both worlds. If you've got a lot of devices connected, you've built up your system over many years, or you've just got content from different places, then you can use our app to really give you an overview of everything there, and it's super easy to search. The Qobuz implementation, obviously you get little high-res audio icons, and you can just go, I want that track, hit play, and it will come out, and you're getting the absolute best quality then, because it's coming from a native implementation.
Yeah, that's really cool. We actually had several of those slides. Sorry that we didn't get to them all, but I can tell you that the user interface is really, really nice. You can tell what you're listening to. You can see when it's a high resolution track, which, believe it or not, you can on some of these.
Yeah, you can multi-room to different devices. So if you've got it's the nice thing is it presents you that rooms view, and you can go. It's the same interface anyway, so there's no learning curve for people to follow. Once they've used it once, they can use any of our products, and that's a really nice way. How many times have we created systems over the years to use ourselves, and it's one method of playback in one room and something else somewhere else, and it all feels very piecemeal. And actually, one bit might work well, but the bit that's in the kitchen that you want your family to interact with is a real dog to use. Well, actually, forget that. We take all that complexity away, because you can have a beautiful looking product like the one behind me, and it makes beautiful music really quickly. You don't have to going down that route of I'm going to do this in this solution, we provide the solution.
Yeah, I'm going to get Neith. I was just writing Neith a little note, but Neitha, can you bring up the actual streamers that we're talking about? There should be at least a couple up there that I think these guys sent over. If you can hear me, I wanted to show them the one that I'm using, and then also the 555. The 555 really looks amazing. I really like the little screen that you got on there. But that's totally isolated from the audio circuit as well.
Yeah, in an ND 555, we take the separation ethos right to the top. So everything is kept as far away from each other as possible. So you don't get any interaction between streaming module and the DAC circuitry, and the UI, the front panel controls. Everything is completely isolated. And so much so that it has an external power supply, so you won't necessarily see it in these images, but it's completely, it's completely unmains powered. It goes through an external power supply to give you that, so you don't have to deal with transformers inside the box, and then you can site those further away, and you are unlocking better quality by being able to separate out those items.
Yeah, those were actually the Muso pieces. We'll bring those up in just a second. If Neitha can find the streamers, we'll bring those up. But
presentation, it's on the third slide somewhere.
Yeah, that's we'll see if we can bring those up before the show ends. But this is really fascinating. And then I guess the next thing we need to talk about is actually the ones that you just brought up. What you just brought up, these guys. Sorry, Neitha. I'm messing her up. I think we're both doing it the same thing.
Maybe
now she's got.
Go back to your on DAC. Obviously, we use TI.
There we go. This is what we were looking at just a little while ago. Tell us about these guys.
So that's our hi-fi streamer range, and the ND5XS2. As you know, that's an amazing product, and it's all about sound quality with that product. And then as you step up to an NDX2, then you start to unlock some of the features that are going to really be able to take you on a bit more of a journey. So that one's upgradable with an external power supply. In fact, you can use the same power supply that you can for a 555, and at a 555 level, you have to buy a power supply. So you're forced into the separation, if you like. But in terms of front panel UI, that screen is the same on all the products, the two products that you see there, and the Unity range, and obviously it's reflected in the app. So we're making these devices super easy to use. I mean, Robert, you can probably tell me what the US retail price of a ND 555 with two power supplies is, but there's no difference to using that as there is to being able just to pick up your phone and ping something over it via Spotify if you want to. They're really accessible to use, and 555 sound, 555 is actually what you were listening to at Bristol with two power supplies connected to that statement system behind the scenes. That's what was powering that system. So you have heard one already, David.
Yeah, no, I had heard it. I had not heard it in my house, but yeah, that's that was quite a system. Robert, that's a good thing to talk about. Robert, what are the prices in the United States?
Well, the ND5XS2, so the top streamer there, is about $3,500. Then we have the NDX2, which is $7,690. And then the ND555 starts out about 17,000 and goes up to close to 30,000, as Stuart mentioned, if you get the two outboard power supplies. The NDX2 is also upgradable with power supply, and the ND555, you can start with a single power supply and add a second one to make it even better. And that's what he was referring to, was what you heard with the statement preamp and amps was the 555 with the two outboard power supplies. So highest resolution streamer, and then the top preamp power amp combination.
So this isn't stuff that you go into like your standard hi-fi shop and see typically. What, Robert, give me like two or three of your top dealers around the United States.
Well, we've got them all over the country, and it's really, I would say, go to our website or shoot
Yeah,
us an
sorry, I didn't mean
email
to put you
and
on
we
the spot there.
Yeah, well, I don't want to show,
Yeah,
favorites
no, I
for
get it.
one versus another, but most major cities, we've got good representation.
Good.
And the brand is such that you really need to go see it and touch it and hear it rather than, try to look for it online or something like
Yeah, I
that.
totally agree with that.
A big part of the experience is getting a decent demonstration, getting an understanding and an explanation. And even with the ND5XS2, the investment in that, even though it is less expensive than our other models, that is a substantial piece of gear that has amazing performance, really better than anything else out there anywhere near its price range. But the ideal situation is you would go in and talk to somebody and see it and hear it and experience it and really get an idea of what it's all about.
We've got one of my friends, Jennifer Martin. She's a classical guitarist, and she was just talking about listening to Naim in Southern California and just how much, what a great experience that was for her. That's quite a compliment because this lady's got quite an ear and quite the resume as well. Thanks, Jennifer. Appreciate you chiming in. Yeah, go ahead and Neetha, go ahead and show the next couple of slides, and then we'll get into the Muso stuff.
I think it's if I interject there, I think what Robert said there is very true. Now, for Naim, it's all about listening, and we listen to endless combinations of things in the factory that never actually see the light of day to check that they're going to measure up to our performance criteria. But you're right, going and having that live demonstration and really, ignoring the technical specifications, and it's all about what you hear, and going and experiencing a Naim system. That's when you'll be converted, because that's what it's all about. It delivers an experience like no other. It really does.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess it's like anything else. I mean, you can see a box and kind of, learn a little about it from the outside, which I guess these kinds of events help that a bit. But I mean, it's like your favorite musician. Someone can describe them to you, but there's no substitute. And I could definitely say that for the way that this stuff is built. In fact, the knobs, I mean, even the knobs that you guys use are absolutely amazing. And they're all on top of this Unity system, right?
Yeah, so it's the same. You can see it on the earlier shots of Muso, but that dial is a signature of Naim, really, and it's on Statement, it's on Unity, and it's on Muso, and it's all about wanting to interact with the product. We spend a lot of time and effort making those products really beautiful and make sure that they're built to last, and we want people to go and appreciate the quality. And when you're listening to a Naim system, there's always the urge to turn the volume up, and it's really nice. It's a really lovely experience to turn the volume up on any of those products, because you can't but help interact with it, especially on a Muso, and a Unity, when they light up when you come near them. And that's just urging you just to keep listening and just to keep turning it up, and that's what it's all about. That's delivering that emotion and that impact. The dial on the Muso is absolutely beautiful. That's a real eye-catching piece. People walk into my home and they look at that, and that's when they go, "Oh, what's that?" You go, "Let me play it to you." And at that point, that's when they start asking how they can get hold of one.
It's probably the most inviting product I've ever played with. It's you have to, once you see this thing, it's actually the Muso, this particular Muso is I hesitate to call it a table radio. It's like a
table radio.
It's a system. I mean, this thing sounds fantastic.
It's fully self-contained system. You can buy that, take it home, put it under your TV, even plug it in, and you'll be blown away by it. It's mind-blowingly good. Given the size of the product and the cost of the product, the performance it offers is it's gobsmacking, really. I've got one next door, and every time I put it on, I just smile, and I start listening to more, because it's just so engaging and it's so dynamic. It really puts a smile on your face.
Very fun product. The first time I think I had ever really played with one was a friend of mine who got one, Chris Conacher, and I was in Minnesota, and we were listening to his big system. We come upstairs. He's got the Muso, and I started playing with it, and it's like turning the knob and switching tracks, and just everything you did with it was just this really killer experience. And so we start talking about it. We were having a 30-minute conversation about this little piece he's got when we had just finished listening to probably a couple $100,000 system downstairs. But the main attraction was this, and I'm going, so what do you think? What do you think about it? He goes, well, my daughter, her name is Shirley Scarlett, believe it or not, can't keep her hands off of it. This is the one piece of hi-fi gear that she's drawn to every single day, and she goes to it. She picks her track and she turns it up, and she loves just playing with this thing. I know you guys have done really, really well with this unit.
Oh, it's been phenomenal. I mean, it speaks for itself, but you're right. You don't need to be an audiophile to get your hands on it and actually get the experience from it. It's all about, if you love music, you can use that product and you can listen to it, and it will put a smile on your face no matter what other systems you own. If you've only got a smartphone or you've got $200,000 of hi-fi, that will put a smile on your face every time.
Yeah, I definitely can see that. So the shows have been, canceled and whatnot, and so what's the next thing you guys think you're going to be doing?
Well, for me, it's traveling to see dealers and train and demonstrate and give people the experience as much as possible.
So you can still get out.
Well, not very much. It's it's limited. Yeah, we have a lot of restrictions, of course. May get worse going forward, just as happening in the rest of the world, where lockdown's getting a little bit more strict. We'll see what travel restrictions occur here. So
yeah, I know for a lot of companies, you're getting things done that you just didn't get done before, only because maybe you didn't have time. I know that's definitely true with Qobuz. We're doing a whole lot of stuff right now, just because we're all on lockdown. But in a lot of ways, it's been a lot more positive than we ever thought it would be.
The feedback I keep getting is more people have more time to listen to music and are enjoying it more. And so, for example, work from home, playing music in the background consistently while they're working until they have to take a phone call or whatever. And people are investing in their home and in their personal enjoyment, because they're not going to restaurants and they're not going out and doing things. So we're seeing good results because of that.
Yeah. I've been primarily working from home for, well, it feels like a really long time now, but 8-9 months.
Yeah,
it's been really quite positive for me personally, because the time that I would have spent traveling, which I'm fairly close to the office anyway, so it'd be small for me, but the time I've had with my family, but also the time I've had listening to music. And music's one of those things that can deliver, probably the only thing I'd say that can deliver that emotional impact in 2 beats of a song. You can be transported back to somewhere, and it has such a profound effect on mental health. And actually, you've got the chance to escape. We're stuck at our desks essentially all day, but actually when I can walk into my kitchen and play something on a Nova and put a smile on my face, and that can take away all the stresses I've just had for 3 hours. Actually, listening is a really important tool, and it's so valuable now, and people are seeing that value, and we're seeing people spending much more time listening to products and investigating in different services, and they're starting to open up those avenues to getting better experiences and connecting with what they're listening to on a much more regular basis. And for us as a business, it's actually we've done a lot during that period, even if we haven't all been able to be in the office all the time. We're quite lucky. We're in a quite low COVID area, so it hasn't been too restrictive for us up until today, when I now can't leave my house. But yeah, we've done a lot. So 2021 is going to be a really exciting year for Naim.
Oh yeah, I think it is for all of us. I was certainly referring to the way we're living our lives, but I'm one of the things I was really talking about is just being able to accomplish a lot of things within our company that took a back door to, oh gosh, I can't do that this week because I've got to be, on the road. And then you get on the road, you've got a lot of follow up to do. So we're seeing a lot of positive, effects just from the lockdown. And yeah, of course, man, the family thing has been wonderful. Being able to listen to music more than ever. I mean, I'm always listening to music anyway, but being able to play music more than I have in years. I never go a day without being able to play my music myself, and that part has been really good. Derek, this is a buddy of mine I met a few years ago. What a character! He's also a Brit, living, I believe, in California now. I met him at Expona, and he's asking, other than the price, what's the difference between the Muso 1 and 2?
Well, this applies to both QB and Muso, but there's actually a lot of difference between them under the skin. The acoustics have all been redone. There's different drive units. There's inside the Muso 2, actually, there's more cabinet volume. There's been some engineering to increase the volume so you get better bass performance. Obviously, they've got they've got our latest platform, streaming platform, so that's a whole world of services like Qobuz native, and the dial's been completely re-engineered, so you've got a beautiful light ring that indicates where your volume is. But when you listen to those two products side by side, I recently in fact I've got a QB1 next to me and a QB2 here, and I did an ad hoc demo for my wife, and I flipped between the two, and she was just like, wow, that's amazing. That difference is amazing. And she's not a trained listener, but and that was just on the tabletop. There's a huge difference between those two products in terms of sound quality. If you've got a Muso 1, go and listen to a Muso 2 and you'll be blown away by it.
And those aren't really that expensive either, right? Robert, how much are those running right now?
The Muso 2 is $1,690. The Muso QB2, the smaller one, is $990.
Yeah. So they really haven't gone up much or at all since they came out.
And as Stuart mentioned, they share the same streaming platform as every model in the Naim range. So the interface is much better than it used to be. And the performance, even with just things like the buffer in the streaming platform, is considerably better. Also, better Wi-Fi. So in terms of staying connected to the network, the Series 2, QB2, and Muso 2 are an advancement over the predecessors.
Then they've got newer DSPs, so you've got much more you can do with the acoustics. So we're actually able to push the boundaries of what the acoustic performance can do because we've got much more advanced filters and EQ inside the product. So we're really able to tune it a lot better than the original one. We're able to get more out of the box. So yeah, the dynamics are on a different scale.
That's pretty amazing because the first one was crazy.
Muso 2 is phenomenal. I mean, it's phenomenal.
Is it okay with you guys if we go a little over, or Stuart, is it past your pint time or what?
And I'm good.
Cool. Well, I think you've got a few more slides that you wanted to go over, and we'd certainly like to give you the opportunity to do that. So I think you guys have got these in an order that you want. Is this a good place to start?
Yeah, well, why not? This is just to illustrate really the breadth of options we offer across all our product range. So certainly on the streaming side, this applies across everything. We play everything, and we play everything in the best quality, and there's no corners cut in terms of downsampling or changing the bit rate or any of that sort of stuff. It's all native implementations, and especially things like HDMI, that is actually running through the DAC at full resolution through all our products. All of those sources that you see there, we don't tamper with anything. We just take them all in. There's no hidden methods to bypass for HDMI audio and any of that stuff. So you can watch a concert on your TV through a Muso, and it sounds amazing. And in lockdown, that's essentially a gig these days. So why not get the best out of it?
Right. Yeah, that is really cool.
And the HDMI input also applies to the full Unity range. So if you have a Unity and a pair of speakers, then plug in your TV, just as with the Muso 2, you now have an awesome sounding stereo music streaming digital input, analog input device with HDMI. So your video TV sources can also be part of the great sound of the Unity or the Muso system.
And that was a really important factor when we were going for our DAC architecture, is actually, you can add taps till the cows come home, but you add latency. And if you've got HDMI, you need to have low latency. Otherwise, you don't want your picture and sound to be massively out. So there's a balance there of actually offering really good performance and making sure that your platform is low latency. And by having the control of everything, we do it all internally, that we can really make sure that we're meeting all those goals. And that's essentially a marketing-led sort of story. Is actually, we know people are plugging their TVs into these devices. I've got a Nova downstairs in exactly the same configuration. I mean, it's mind-blowing for music, but it's also incredibly good for watching the TV. A football game doesn't quite sound the same when it's got synthetic crowd noise, but you can almost feel like you're there.
Stuart, Neetha's saying this is the last slide. You wanted to go to the shots that you had sent, correct?
Only if you want to see some volume control close-ups. That was the only other ones.
Which ones? I'm sorry.
There's some close-ups of the volume control, but I think you already saw those.
Oh, like this one.
Yeah, so that statement.
Yeah.
That's what you were listening to at Bristol.
I know. Yeah, it's an amazing piece. Yeah, like I said, that was one of the most amazing systems at Bristol. But I think you guys might have had the best room there.
Well, we try.
So tell me, what haven't we covered that we should, or that we've left off?
I don't think there's much, but maybe Robert can put me right there.
Well, one of the things we looked at a couple of pictures of the Unity range, but we didn't really talk about that. The succession of name starts with the Muso, and that's our entry product, but amazing sounding. The streaming platform in there carries over. The next up series is the Unity, which those products are all self-contained except speakers. 3 different models, and as you step up, you get more performance, a little bit more functionality.
Yeah, Neetha, bring that one up if you would again. The Unity that you had showed those just a few minutes ago.
There were 4 black boxes.
Right. So, Robert, the Unity pieces you were talking about, those are total self-contained. They've got power, they've got streaming, they've got preamp, they've got everything, right?
There they are.
So literally all you have to have with this piece of gear is a pair of speakers and you're done.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
We're currently doing bundles through our retailers at the moment.
Yes.
So you can get these products with a variety of focal speakers and cables all included. Which is a great Christmas present, but they're really well. I've personally downstairs I've got a Nova with the Cantor 2s, and it's unbelievably good. It always puts a smile on my face, and it's the nice thing about these products is they're really flexible. So as Robert said, you've got a whole wealth of it. I think there's 15 inputs on a Nova, so actually it can replace your hi-fi system if you're wanting to really downscale and consider something for a second room. This is a perfect product for it. It actually has got a lot of audiophile technology in it. So the block on the left really is separation of the power supplies, improve amp stage. It's we've followed the separation philosophy through this range. So an Atom is obviously very compact, but a Nova really takes that to the next level. So
what kind of power is the Atom in the Nova?
An Atom's 40 watts channel, class AB, and a Nova's
80,
and a Star is
70. Yeah.
But
and the core, tell me about the core. What does that do?
So the core is I call it a digital music library. So it's a built-in CD ripper.
Gotcha.
Put an SSD in the back of it, but it's also essentially an online storage box these days. So your Qobuz high resolution downloads, you can put them on that server and then they're accessible across your network. So actually the best CD player we do is a core plus a streamer, because you're isolating this, you're isolating the movement of playing a CD, but by ripping it, the core does a high speed rip, which checks for errors. So it will cross-reference the discs it rips to make sure it gets the absolute best, the best rip. And then you're just streaming that rip. So you don't have to worry about the spinning CD and all the kind of mechanical issues you'd have with a CD player. Actually, this gives you your entire CD library at the touch of a button. It can stream up to 12 streams to different products at the same time. It's very, very powerful. And it's your central library, your digital music library, essentially. And that can be CD rips, and it can index your NAS drive. It's a really flexible product that basically is your library for your whole Naim, all your Naim devices. You can buy a Muso QB2 and a core, rip all your CDs and listen to them back on that product. They're all completely interchangeable.
Yeah, and just so you get a little better view of the Muso stuff, here's the Muso second generation and the QB2 second gen. And if you look up on the top, they've got that big Naim knob that is just like, and it's a control unit as well. It's not just, like a volume knob, right?
The backlit Perspex ring, essentially, that's completely illuminated. So, when it's powering up, it pulses, and it's the heart of the product, really. And you've got a touch-sensitive UI on the top. So if you want to play, we have the preset mechanism, which allows you to store artists, tracks, albums, playlists, radio stations, all on those buttons. So you can go to that unit, tap it, and it will start playing. And you've got that beautiful control ring there that, as you turn it, the lights move up around the edge to indicate the volume. But it's super tactile, and it's a real visual wow.
Yeah. Totally agree with you. It's just a lot of fun to play with.
And the important thing between Muso, Unity, and the sort of the hi-fi separates range is, yes, you can go up the range if you want to, but actually those products, especially Muso, it's a great system. You buy one of those and you won't be disappointed. But actually, if you want to get to the next level of performance, you can buy Unity, and it's still a really simple solution, because it's only a couple of speaker cables, which right now you can get in as a part of the package, and you don't need to connect anything to it. It's got the same Wi-Fi that's in a Muso too. You don't physically have to plug anything into it. It's got a beautiful screen on the front that tells you exactly what's going on. That serves as I've got an Atom downstairs as well. It's an awesome little product, and it's a mind-blowing how much engagement and performance that little box delivers is quite sensational.
Totally agree. We're loved having you guys on, and can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys taking your time. Stuart, I know it's getting really late for you, and please tell your family that we really appreciated you being here today.
No problem.
Robert, thank you. It's
glad that I'm not bothering them.
Say again?
They're glad I'm not bothering them for a couple of hours. So.
Yeah, I can totally relate with that. Robert, thank you very much for joining us, and wishing you all the very best luck in the United States. Although I don't think you're going to need a lot of luck here. It's just about getting this whole pandemic behind us, and while that's happening, we wish you all the best.
Well, thanks for having us and the opportunity to share a little bit of Naim with the world.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for coming in. Robert, I'll be right back with you, and Stuart. Thank you, everyone, for joining Qobuz Live. We'll be back next week, believe it or not, with Macintosh. We'll have a really good time with them. We've got some fantastic live streams coming up, and hope to see you there. If there were any questions that you asked that we didn't happen to get to, between Stuart, myself, Robert, we'll go back with all of the social media, and we'll make sure that if there are any questions, that we'll get those answered for you. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us again, and we hope you have a wonderful weekend.